3.5 years of ferocious fighting continues in eastern Ukraine. But the question looming ahead of Friday's summit is, when will the guns fall silent? Is this the moment when a powerful and unorthodox American president can broker, if not a peace deal, then at least a ceasefire and a frozen front line? Donald Trump will leave for Alaska at dawn on Friday for his fateful meeting with President Putin. Now, in a clear case of expectation management, the president is talking of a second summit that might be of much greater consequence.
If the first one goes okay, we'll have a quick second one. I would like to do it almost immediately, and we'll have a quick second meeting between President Putin and President Zelenskyy and myself, if they'd like to have me there. And that would be a meeting where maybe it could be absolutely work. But the first meeting will not work that out. Certain great things can be gained in the first. It's going to be a very important meeting, but it's setting the table for the second meeting.
But then a key question.
Any consequences if Vladimir Putin does not agree to stop the war after your meeting on Friday?
Yes, they will. Yeah.
What will the consequences
there will be
be?
consequences.
Sanctions, tariffs?
There will be, I don't have to say, there will be very severe consequences, yes.
In Europe, the pace of diplomacy has been frantic. President Zelenskyy arrived in Berlin to meet with the German Chancellor, and both men then joined a call with Trump, a last-minute attempt to shape the Alaska agenda. But the Ukrainian leader is facing the perfect storm. Military reversals on the front line, and deep anxiety a deal is being cut behind his back. And he's warning the Kremlin is now playing the West.
We discussed the situation on the battlefield today. I told the President of the United States and all our European colleagues, Putin is bluffing. He's trying to put pressure on all fronts ahead of the meeting in Alaska.
And from Downing Street, the Prime Minister spoke by video with a larger group, the so-called Coalition of the Willing, and made clear that Britain will always support Ukraine and that international borders must never be changed by force.
Because this is a critical moment. We have to combine active diplomacy on the one hand with military support to Ukraine and pressure on Russia. And so that all has to come together as ever.
Trump's critics claim that the president was ill-prepared and outmaneuvered by President Putin when they met in Helsinki in 2018. And they fear a repeat, that Alaska will be a moment when the Russian leader is able to legitimize and maximize Moscow's recent territorial advances on the battlefield. The meeting venue this time is a US military base near Anchorage, land that was all once part of the Russian Tsarist Empire. One of many ironies as the two leaders meet to discuss ending a war being waged 5,000 miles away. Robert Moore, News at 10, Washington.
Well, Dan is in Alaska for us already this evening ahead of that summit on Friday, as you can see. And Dan, it is difficult to judge President Trump at the best of times. What do you think his comments today tell us, though, about which way he seems to be leading ahead of Friday?
Well, that's right. I mean, it's 48 hours, less than 48 hours until Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin meet at this Air Force base, which has F-22 stealth fighters here, part of their job of which, ironically, is to patrol against Russian incursions. And look, Paul, there's been an enormous amount of sort of flip-flopping, frankly, by President Trump this week. On Monday, he started really echoing Kremlin talking points, effectively talking about land swaps, giving the impression that this was going to be sort of two powerful men getting in a room together and sort of carving up Europe without much consultation of the countries that would be involved. Since then, there's been an attempt, I think, to sort of nuance this by the White House. They're talking about this being a listening exercise. And then today, after this virtual summit, Donald Trump appeared to be talking in a much more pro-European, pro-Ukrainian way, saying there'd be no negotiations without President Zelenskyy, talking up the possibility of a second meeting directly between President Putin and President Zelenskyy and threatening secondary sanctions as well. So frankly, who knows when it comes down to it, when he gets in the room with President Putin, which Donald Trump, which way he will go. I think that the most realistically that can be hoped for is that he can try and persuade President Putin to at least have a temporary ceasefire to allow space for more negotiations. But that's something that's been tried before and hasn't stuck.